Good morning. I thought I had my act together, but evidently not. Welcome to Unity in Naperville for all of you online who don't know where you are right now from all around the world. So thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Kity Benson, the minister here at Unity. It's kind of an empty stage this morning, just trying to bring things down a little bit slower, a little bit quieter. We'll have Mark come up and play with me in a little bit yet today. But just an opportunity for us to be still and know, to maybe set aside the busyness of life and the cares of life and take a few opportunities to look at life differently today. We love coming in and lighting our candles before the service and this meditative experience because it reminds us that as we create light in a simple act of lighting the flame here, that it's a reminder of the light that's everywhere present. And whatever we're carrying on our heart today is something that we can surround in that light. So throughout the service today, I'll just encourage you to think about whatever it was that you put in there, see it in the light, see it being soothed and calmed and brought into order and peace in your life. And one of the best ways that we can do this for ourselves and for whoever we're praying for is to close our eyes. So let's just take a moment to do that, to close our eyes and remind ourselves the infinite presence of God is within in this moment. A presence that fills our bodies with life, that fills our mind with ideas and solutions, that fills our heart with love and compassion. And as we hold on to those ideas, those divine ideas, we can rest and relax knowing this is the only power working in our lives. And we are grateful. Let's take a moment to speak our invocation. The words are up here on the screen. Together, there's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you.
Coming to you now from the largest studio ever constructed, it's The Truman Show!
Yeah! Good morning!
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
What if? No scripts, no cue cards.
Morning, Spencer. How's it going?
What if you were watched every moment of your life?
How many cameras you got there in that town?
5,000. I believe Truman is the first child to have been legally adopted by a corporation. That's correct.
Brilliant.
What if everyone you knew was pretending?
Hi, honey. Look what I got at the checkout. Dishwasher safe.
That's amazing.
What if your world was make-believe?
Cue the sun.
While the world he inhabits is counterfeit.
I'm not allowed to talk to you.
That's how I look. On your type.
There's nothing fake about Truman himself.
What if you didn't know it? Until now.
Ruh-roh. Until now. Let's just let that now be now. What if right now was your opportunity to awaken? You know, the good news is none of us here, at least I don't think any of us here, are in a reality TV show. And this is not a reality TV show, although technically we are on the air. And we don't live in a world that is constructed, or is it? Does it have power over us, or doesn't it? Does it have the final say as to what is real, or doesn't it? This is something for us I want us to think about today, because as we've been talking about the weight of the world and reminding you of the many opportunities we have to experience that weight of the world, many people on this planet believe that that's life. It's just part of the human condition. There's no way outside of it. if we were brought up in a spiritual path, some of us might have been raised to believe that the only freedom that we get happens after we die. When we leave the body, heaven and golden streets await us. Then there's those who are not on a spiritual path, and they just look at this as, oh, well, have to put up with it. This is the way it is. Life is all about suffering. As a matter of fact, the Buddhists believe up here on the screen that there is a cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. And technically, that's where I am too. But this next part, I'm not. This means that people will experience suffering many times over. All of the things a person goes through in life cause suffering, and they cannot do anything about it. That's from the First Noble Truth. I'm not going to sign up for that one. All of the things a person goes through in life cause suffering, and they cannot do anything about it. So we might be in that camp where the collective consciousness of the human race is holding the idea that this universe and this planet that we're on and this body that we're in has the power to basically control our lives, determine our well-being, and even to the very end has the power to end our life. And some of us also see some of the things we have no control over, like our gender, how we were born, our race, our cultures. We have no control over that. And if it brings suffering, then so be it. There's nothing I can do about it. Some of us look at the world economy or our little city's economy, our personal economy is having power over us. Maybe what our religion has taught us having power over us. Governments, things we just can't do anything about. And the ultimate statement that we're all used to making, at least once in our life, is, I'm only human. I'm only human. So when we come from that point of view, we're feeling the weight of the world of that humanity, and it just feels like the inescapable nature of things. So that weight will carry you through from birth to death if you pay attention to what's going on around you in the world. And when we get to that point of aging, this is kind of on my mind because we have our Aging with Spirit group meeting regularly, and we're really kind of looking at that experience of aging and how the world seems to control it. So it begins by, reaching a certain age where they say, go home, don't work anymore. And therefore, run low on money, and then sit in a back corner where we don't have to see you or include you in this. Maybe your memory's going to go. Maybe your body starts to weaken. Maybe you start to have to take chronic medication. And many of us fear that idea of losing our independence and having to leave the body. What will the end be like? And that last section of life right there, where we think about when it all ends for us, we can start preparing in our mind years ahead of time, imagining what it's going to be like. One of the things we do is we look at our parents and how they died, and we let that control our view, and we start to feel like that victim. We start to feel the misery of it before we even get there. And it's also that moment of letting go. That's really hard for the ego to do that, to leave the body. So ultimately, we might say, and then what? I had a beloved set of parents who grew up in mostly the Baptist camp, and not at the camp itself, but in that denomination. And they're, they had a traditional Christian belief about the end of life and what happens after you die, and yet still, I remember my mom fearing what really happens after you die, fearing possible judgment or possible punishment or possible nothingness. How are you feeling right now? The weight of the world on your shoulders. This is what we're up against on a daily basis, mostly because the world itself can feel like a weight. The human body can feel like a weight. So what if What if we woke up and saw the tear in the sky where that light fell down on the floor in front of us, and we started thinking differently about this experience, about this planet, about these bodies? What if we started living as our true self? What are we truthfully? What are we? We are spirit. The body is a beautiful apparatus that we've borrowed for a little while, and it's working with us to allow us to have this experience, but our essence is of spirit. And this identity that we have as spirit is over and above the weight of the world. Something that Anita Moorjani wrote in, I think it was her second book, What If This Is Heaven? There's a thought. That's the name of the book. She says this, she had a near-death experience, okay? So she left, who knows for the amount of time, but had an opportunity to see herself just as a spiritual being. Here's what she said. After coming back into my body, I remember wondering why we were never taught about how unconditionally loved we are, how pure we are, how amazing and powerful and magnificent we are. Why are we never taught that there's no judgment, or that the most important thing we can focus on is love, not fear of retribution? And that's a good question. How many of us got that class in school? You are a super being. We're kind of talking about that in our class right now. And these super beings in the book are people who have awakened, as Jesus did, awakened. They would probably not say that they matched Jesus's expression, but became aware of who they really are as spiritual beings, so much so that they do not have to live under the weight of this world. And they came to this understanding, as they say in the book, that man is not the man we thought he was. Wouldn't that be interesting if we really moved into that thought? That's how we're going to lift this weight, is being able to move into that spiritual identity that we really are. And once we get there into that spiritual consciousness, we have the ability to empower all aspects of the human experience, starting with our bodies. Something that Emily Kity, I've got some really good quotes today, so see if you can take these in. From Emily Kity, she said, "The outer life is but the outflowing of the inner life. And that inner life is fed from the fountain of life, moment by moment, through the Christ at the center of our being. God gives his own life freely to all who can receive it." Now, it's not the kind of thing where God has got it over in a closet somewhere and you say, "I'm ready to receive life," and God brings it to you because you've been good this week. God is life. It's giving of itself always. And this physical body could not exist if it weren't being sourced out of spiritual life. So just think about that. When we tend to let the body tell us we're not enough and feel that weight of sickness on our consciousness as well as in the body, we also have the opportunity to remember that at the same time, there is spiritual life energy in our bodies. It's the essence, the source, the foundation, the ground of being. And if we could just learn that and accept that and know that life is present in us and give our attention to it when the body starts to weaken, it's our chance to renew. Tune yourself into your light body when things start to go south and come back into your spirit. When you put your mind on that truth of life in the body, you are now aligned and allowing the divine life to enliven you. Here's something that our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, said. "Fix your undivided attention upon the inner divine pattern of perfection. Bring all the mental attitudes and centers of consciousness, and even the physical structures, to this high place in mind, where we see as God sees. We prayerfully consider all our living habits to better understand whether we're according with the divine law of health or if we're worrying or fearing anything." Remember that word chording, like the major and minor chords we play in music. Are we chording in harmony with divine life, or are we singing a dissonant tune one that feels heavier. And as we learn to practice chords that align with spirit, our body follows suit. It's drawn up into that higher frequency of expression. So the weight of the world in our bodies, on our bodies, through our bodies, does not have to dominate, when at the same time there is a spiritual life energy in us that wants to express if we give it permission. We can also remove the weight of the world as it relates to our finances. I mean, that's got to be one of the number one things that human beings worry about, because our finances or some form of income is what provides our daily bread. We could starve to death. We could have to live out in the elements if we don't have enough. It's a big thing for most human beings. It can feel like a weight for most human beings. So keep in mind that most of us are still looking outward, using our senses to determine, okay, I got my paycheck today, that's my source, what if it goes away? I got a new job today, that's my source, what if it goes away? What if the stock market crashes? What if I lose all my savings? What if my parents cut me off from my allowance? If only we had an allowance. Yeah, so we're thinking what ifs, because we are giving power to the outer. And that creates that weight of the world. That's the way the world looks at our supply. And that is not the truth of how it works. So here's what Ernest Holmes says about it. He's the founder of Science of Mind. What we see comes from what we do not see. This is the explanation of the whole visible universe. So right there, let's just stop looking to our salary, our Social Security as our source. The substance that we deal with in itself is never limited. Because we're limited is not reason why the universe should have limitation. Our limitation, listen, our limitation is only our unbelief. We're not limited by actual boundaries, but by false ideas about life, and by a failure to recognize that we are dealing with the infinite. The power and substance behind everything remain infinite. Now, if the weight of the world's finances is on your shoulders, this is a chance for us to be forever lifted above that weight if we can come back to where our finances come from. Spiritual energy, the substance of God. That's what it starts with, in the invisible. The energy that science tells us fills heaven and earth, we say is the sparkling spiritual energy of God that now becomes a lectern, a blouse, my glasses, your bodies. It's all spiritual energy that we can turn into something. And we listen to what our other co-founder, Charles Fillmore, says about this in his book, Prosperity. He said, God is the intangible essence of that which we have formed into and named matter. What is that invisible essence? God, the substance of God. God's substance may be conceived as God energy or spirit light. God's substance lies back of matter and form. Substance cannot be seen, touched, tasted, or smelled, yet it's more substantial than matter, for it is the only substantiality and reality in this universe. When we get to know that, when it sinks into our consciousness, we are lifted from the weight of the world. It's very easy to be born into this experience and say, there's not enough to go around. What if you knew that there's always plenty? It's waiting for us to see it and call it forth, form it exactly as our heart desires by our faith and imagination. What if? And I gotta say, probably one of the biggest weights in the world as human beings is just getting along, right? And that's actually one of the main reasons I think we come into this as spiritual beings, is to interact with other beings that aren't aware of who they are and run into them in a feeling of, you are inherently bad. We're taught that, right? That human beings, especially if you have a faith tradition that teaches you that, you're born inherently bad with a sinful nature. How in the world do we have a chance of living in peace and harmony with one another if we look at each other as sinful? I mean, there's so many things that we think about this world in relation to this idea that it's a dog-eat-dog world. You know, every man for himself. There's not enough to go around, so I got to take care of me. And then we talked last week about having the brain working from a negativity bias on top of that. That's what it turns towards first. Why do we see the inhabitants of the world as a weight? Because we're looking at them again with our sense consciousness. We look at their behavior and we say, you are bad. And with the negativity bias on top of that, we're expecting to find bad. We're protecting ourselves from bad. So how do we stand a chance with that point of view? That you are bad, that I was born with a sinful nature. And if we have this negativity bias, it means that we're going to look for the threats rather than turn within and say, what's happening here? What does my spiritual understanding say about this relationship? We avoid turning within. I was in shock when I read this next piece of information from science.org. Take a look. We would rather electrocute ourselves than spend time in our own thoughts. This was demonstrated in a controversial 2014 study in which 67% of male participants and 25% of female participants opted to give themselves unpleasant electric shocks rather than spend 15 minutes in peaceful contemplation. I just want to cry. Wow is right. What happens when we spend time in peaceful contemplation? What's the first thing that usually happens when we just sit down alone in a room by ourselves and stop talking, stop doing? What happens? Thoughts. And what kind of thoughts? Lots of them. Yes. Who's doing the talking? Yeah, but who of us? Ego is doing the talking. It's going to jump right in there and start telling you everything that you should know and feel bad about yourself, about the world. Its mechanism is to protect just as much as that brain negativity bias. So it'll have a lot to say. It will tell us all the things we're doing wrong and that we should be ashamed of. It will tell us all the things we should be afraid of and that we're not ready for and that we're going to suffer some more. So it's no wonder we don't want to spend time in quiet contemplation unless we know how to do it well, unless we start to practice that time in the quiet. I got to say that this is a decision that we all get to make. Let me share from the super beings. Did I say this already, that the super beings are people who've kind of discovered their spiritual nature? And so here's one that said, when the question was, what's the biggest obstacle in attaining a realization of truth? He said, mental laziness. Not caring enough. A contentment with things as they are, even if the things include poor health and financial insufficiency. You always follow your priorities. You do what you choose to do. If you want to develop your super consciousness, there's nothing to hold you back. Now just take that in for a minute. If you want to develop your super consciousness, if you want to make that be the driving consciousness that you live from, there's nothing to hold you back. Yikes. But if there's not a burning desire to do so, there will always be an excuse to put it off. Isn't that strange? I tell a person that he can have a perfect body, financial abundance, the ideal mate or companion, complete protection, total fulfillment, great success, and he says, well, that sounds good, but I just don't have time to get involved with that now. So, you know what? If that's you, no shame, no blame, that is completely your choice. If it's easier for you and it feels perfectly fine and normal to be carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, nobody's going to judge you for that. But no fair whining. No fair whining about it. Now, if that weight comes from an ignorance of your spiritual nature, then let today be the day for your aha moment. And nobody needs to have a near-death experience here to know this. Just listen to my words. You are an eternal, infinite spiritual being. And it wants to come here and play inside this human body and using this brain, and dealing with the ego, but it's still an infinite, eternal being. It's yours to be right here and now. And you might need to do a little practicing, which is why Unity in Naperville exists, to help you practice, to study spiritual truth principles, to come in an awareness of what's available to you and who you really are. We practice meditation to teach you how to calm down and let those busy, hurtful thoughts go as we turn again and again and again towards our heart, towards love, towards the presence of God within. Be still and know. We practice affirmations. We say them all the time here because that helps to retrain the brain, to retrain all those negative ideas that we have been learning and living from for our entire life. We change them by renewing the mind, as Paul told us to do. We talk about looking past the appearances of the body, of other people's behavior, of the number on your bank account. Looking past that and into that invisible realm that can provide the life and the love and the supply that's always available to us. And to consciously apply the divine law. That law that says what I'm thinking and feeling and believing, I'm creating. So let's think and feel and believe consciously about what we want. It's a choice, it's a practice, it's an opportunity to be the truth of who we are. Think for a moment, as a spiritual being, do you really think we came into this dimension and into this body for a life of punishment? I don't think so. I think we came because it offers us that opportunity, but we're not here to get stuck there under the weight of the world. Feel it and release it. Feel it and overcome it. That means an opportunity to create in new ways and solve problems, not live underneath them. It means we came here to find that flow of infinite good and just keep moving within it. To be kind, to be compassionate, to be generous. That's our true nature. And that when we do that, we just attract more kind and generous and compassionate experiences. Yes, there is a weight of the world. The world itself, this human experience, is a weight. And we don't have to stay there underneath it. If we could learn to raise that veil and become the truth of our being. So how about if we take some time in meditation for that? You okay with that? Oh, wait, let me finish with one last, just when you're ready to get settled in. I want you to hear these words from Jesus, but I want you to imagine that they're your higher self, the Christ in you, the Spirit of God saying them to you up here on the screen. Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and you'll recover your life. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Yikes, that's good. That's good. So let's take some time in the quiet. And I lied about the light. It's kind of bright. So let's just take some time to find our own center. Feel the chair beneath you. Relax your body. between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. So let's take a deep breath. And imagine that veil coming up. Sensing that right here, right now, in my body, is divine life. It is the life that gives energy to my body. Feel that energy now. Feel it from within, in your hands, in your feet, in your heartbeat. We feel this divine life in our breath, flowing through our blood. The very hum of life in our body. Notice it as a subtle energy that's pervading as a power throughout your being. This is the life that we raise above sickness and express as God in us through our luminous spiritual body within. Just see this body filled with a luminous spiritual body. See this light renewing and refreshing, animating your body now. Knowing its power is perfect, whole, enlivening every cell. There's no separation between body and spirit. The divine light is the very flesh of life in me. I know in this moment, in God, I live, I move, and I have my being. I'm raising the veil. is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. And we breathe in deeply, allowing that veil to raise between physical and spiritual. Opening our thoughts to a field of divine substance everywhere. Sparkling in its invisibility as it stands under all that is in this physical world. We see it as the source of all of our good, and we relax in that knowing that there's always enough. This divine energy goes on and on. It responds even now to my call. As I envision my heart's desire, I gratefully receive it. From spirit to physical, there is always enough. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. Let's breathe again. Raising that veil between human and spirit. Removing that separation between me and all of humankind. There is only one spirit here. I see their divine light shining brightly. I accept their unique spirit as they are, God expressing individually as billions of beings. I sense their heart beating with love, in rhythm with my own heart. As I open to all the beings around me, I desire their good. I take a moment to feel my heart sending love and goodness to all beings on the planet. I know that as I see all beings with love, is who I experience in every relationship. As I give love, it comes back to me now. And everyone I meet from all corners of the world come to me on the essence of love. I see smiles. I see kindness. I am generous and compassionate. My heart overflows with the divine power of love. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation. No distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. And so it is. So that peace, hopefully, that you feel in this moment is always waiting for us. We remember to find it, we choose to turn within. We can be afraid to turn within, or we can find our peace when we turn within. Thank you for practicing today. It's something that you can do anytime. And first of all, let me just invite you into a place of sharing our tithes and love offerings. It's a chance again to know that presence of love in a tangible way. This is how we take the invisible essence of our good and we turn it into visible as we give, knowing that it is what sustains this opportunity to be together and to expand it to those online who are with us. So I'll just invite you to hold in your heart what goodness wants to be shared through your tithes and love offerings today. And if you're doing it online, you can do it through our website at unityinnaperville.org. Or if you want to share with a check, you can just send it to our P.O. Box 9733 in Naperville, and the zip is 60567. And as always, we bless what we give. If you are those who've set your offering up to give automatically, then just imagine that offering right now being given in the ethers. Let's say these words together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. Thank you. Ushers, will you come, please? And as a meditative service, we do something a little bit different at this point. Kim Char, can I ask you, there's a couple microphones over there, and be my runner today. I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to just talk a little bit if you have questions about the message today, or share an experience that you had in meditation, or something that you'd want to bring forward or ask about as we're finishing up our Weight of the World message. Anyone have anything they want to share? Ask? Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Will you give your first name, and we're over here on on my left.
Hello. Hi. My name is Trish.
Hi, Trish.
Hi. I, probably like a lot of people have been looking at the heaviness in the world and asking myself, what can I do? What can I do? And one of the things I've been doing that is actually, it sounds silly, but it's so helpful. So I try to say to myself that, and some of this probably comes from here, so if I'm repeating something you said, thank you.
Good.
But, I try to say to myself that two things. One, I'm gentle with myself and I'm gentle with the lives of others. And I'm harmless to myself and I'm harmless to others. And where I'm actually putting it into practice is when I'm driving. It's such a time, it's easy to get frustrated, on my way here, it's frustrating. So while I'm driving, I say I am gentle with my own life and I'm gentle with the lives of others. And it makes me, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It makes me want to slow down a little and imagine the people around me and that I'm being gentle with their lives when I'm on the road.
Beautiful.
I know it sounds silly, but
Nope.
and so this morning, I was passing kind of on Washington Street in Naperville, which, if you know, it's can be really crowded. It was very congested, and there was a police car stopped, had a couple of cars stopped, and there was a lot of traffic. And I was actually you're supposed to slow down and go slow, which I do anyhow. That I absolutely do. But the people in the next lane weren't pulling over, but I was happy at least. Again, it sounds silly, but the guy next to me totally slowed down. I totally slowed down. And you just slowed everybody down. And it was what if instead of, it's much easier said than done. I understand that. I got to get where I got to go and I'm in a hurry. What if I always was thinking of being gentle with the lives of the other people around me?
Yes, thank you. That's
So,
beautiful.
sorry. It was
That's
really
beautiful.
long-winded, but
The trick is staying awake to that opportunity, right? Yeah, thanks, Trish. Who else? I think my mic can be brought down just a little bit so I can talk normal now. Thank you.
I came in this morning. I'm dealing with a sudden repair job that's very expensive at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And Mini-Me wanted to just complain and be upset. And, yeah. But now I'm at a place where I understand there's a bigger purpose here for me. I understand this is minor in the grand scheme of things. And I understand that this will not stop me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Who else has something to share? Here's one.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Cindy. I do energy work, and I'm a practitioner, but it hit me like a ton of bricks that there is no separation. I think I always can understand there's no separation of God's love for me, but how that translates from substance and the body, it's all one.
Yeah.
And that, I thank you for that because my eyes watered up, so it was really profound.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's hard for the brain to take in, so we just kind of have to let our heart show us how. Okay, Marjorie.
So I work at 7 in the morning till 4, and I'm on the air. I'm on a cue, and so I soak the first 15 minutes when I wake up, 5 o'clock. And now what I do is I'm bringing my daily word with me, soaking 10 minutes, just 10 minutes underwater. And I read out loud, the inner peace established in the center of my being. I am still and peaceful. And it that's what I want all day long.
Yes.
And then the second one was the wisdom, because I want inner peace and wisdom. Is God is the wisdom that flows as intelligence throughout every cell in my body and every thought in my mind. And then I had the inspiration to draw my cartoon. I drew Ruby's.
Yeah.
And I gave it to you. But it's in the morning, I'm just carrying this with me now. And then my husband's reading this now to me.
Wonderful.
He's just reading it. And he's never done this before.
Yeah.
But it's not for him. I'm doing it for me, first thing when I wake up. So I just wanted to share this. I'm like, I had to tape it because it's falling apart.
Beautiful practice. That's how we practice. Did somebody have something over here? Raise your hand high so we can see it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Thanks for running the mic, you guys. So, I keep going back to the super being who said mental laziness, and do you really want, I think of Jesus with the man who'd been laying by the healing pool for 38 years and said, do you really want to be well? So just keep asking yourself, how badly do I want it? How badly do I want to know the fullness of life? And just trust that there is going to be a presence showing you how to get there if you desire that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being online. That's a good step to keep you focused where you want to be. So I'm going to switch gears now, and you're not going to believe this, but the list I'm about to show you are events that I'm not going to describe, but just list as things that are happening this week. This week, just this week, between now and next Sunday, this is what's going on here. So first of all, if there's anybody here for the first time, welcome. We're glad that you're here with us today, and there's an orange registration card by the front door. If you'd like to fill that out and leave it at the info table by the window, Susan will take it, and we'll make sure and get you on our e-news mailing list so you know what's happening from moment to moment. And if you're online, just go to our website at unityinnaperville.org and sign up for the e-news on the homepage. So here's what it is. Today after the service, we're all going to lunch at Portillo's on Route 59 in Jefferson, so I hope you can join us for that. Tomorrow morning, Monday morning, metaphysics at 10:30 online. Tuesday night, my class online at 6:30, the Super Beings book, which you can order at Amazon. If you have a November birthday, send us your date and your picture if you'd like to admin@unityinnaperville.org by Thursday, and we'll sing to you next week. This Friday is a game night at 7. This Saturday, Christina is leading the Using Your Heart for Effective Communication. Great way to learn how to be with family over the holidays without wanting to slit your throat. And also on Saturday at 2, I am back together with Reverend Shirley Lawson on a Zoom call. So check out our event calendar for how to get into that. Saturday night before you go to bed, set your clocks back because it's that time. Yay, one of my favorite nights of the year. Get an extra hour of sleep. Next Sunday, we'll have Denise Rosier here, and she will be doing a concert after the service. Yes, 12:30 it's when it starts. If you get your tickets ahead of time, you can include lunch with that ticket price. So Susan will be at the info table selling tickets, or you can get them at unityinnaperville.org. And yes, you can pick them up on Sunday morning next week if you're one of those people who just are a little lazy. Okay. Yeah, if you want lunch, get them earlier so we know how much food to have. Also, is there a prayer chaplain? Carol's our prayer chaplain today. She'll meet you in the meditation room for prayer if you'd like, or send your name and phone number to prayer@unityinnaperville.org, and she'll call you by 1 o'clock. And then save the date on November 12th for the town hall meeting. It's a big one. It's a big surprise. We're very excited to bring you some fun news, and we want all of you there. So save that date, and we'll have more info later. The information on all these events and how to participate, go to unityinnaperville.org and click on the event calendar, and you'll get everything you need to know, okay? And subscribe to the newsletter, yes. All right, my darlings. I think I've said enough there, right? Okay, so let's finish with our closing affirmation up here on the screen. And first of all, if you lit a candle, I want you to come back in mind to what you put in the light and just see if you see it any differently now. Just notice if your heart has adjusted at all about how tragic it is or how scary it is or how big it is. Do you have a new point of view? I think Christina gave us a good example of that. And then let's speak this together. There is no weight in this world stronger than the power of spirit within me. So I'm going to invite you to, as you're getting up and milling around, to just look around and see who you haven't met yet, whose name you can't remember. Share with them something that came up for you during the service, or what you're going to be on Halloween. I don't really care. Just talk. My class is on Halloween, so see if you can do both. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for your quiet with me. See you next time.